BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys how I rate books. First of all, I usually rate all of my books on Goodreads. Well, not usually, always. I always do all of my reviews on Goodreads. So I do go by the Goodreads system of whole stars. I sometimes will give half stars, but the majority of the time they are whole stars because it just makes it easier for me, and I don't know how to do like 3.25 or 3.75. It doesn't make any sense. So it's either whole or nothing, or whole, mostly whole or nothing. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the 5-star books. Now, on Goodreads, 5 stars if the book was amazing. So for my criteria to be a 5-star book, you have to, 1, keep me engaged the entire time to the point where I become obsessed and I do not want to put the book down. Those are always 5 stars regardless if it's a graphic novel or a YA or middle grade or adult. Doesn't matter what genre the book is in or what form the book is in. If it kept me engaged the entire time, it's a 5-star book. Also, it has to be rereadable. I won't put a 5-star on a book if I liked it but I didn't like it enough to reread it again in the future or immediately. The third one is if I've been dying for everybody else to read it. So I've been shoving this book down people's throats to read. And the last one is if I borrowed the book from the library or borrowed it from a friend and I had to own my own copy or a physical copy. Sometimes I will get a book on Kindle and I need it in physical copy, and so I will buy it like that. One of them being The Martian by Andy Weir. This is my favorite book of 2015. It is a 5-star because it met all that criteria and more. I absolutely am obsessed with this book and I keep trying to get everybody to read it. And so this is definitely a 5-star. The next rating, of course, is a 4-star rating, and on Goodreads it is something that I really liked. Now, for this criteria, it needs to have kept me engaged for the most part. So I can put it down to like go eat dinner or go to work and I don't think about the book, but if I get home and I see it, I want to pick it back up immediately and find out what's happening next. It's also a 4-star if there's an insta-love, regardless of if the insta-love is good or not. If it's got insta-love, it's usually 4 or 4.5 stars because I hate insta-love. It's unrealistic and it drives me crazy. If there is, say, a phrase that's used over and over again, that will sometimes knock it to a 4. I can't stand redundancy, especially since there's such thing as called a thesaurus. So you don't have to use the same word over and over again. There's tons of different words that you can use to represent the same meaning, and that always drives me nuts when I see the same word. Or if just the character's annoying. A lot of the times the girl's really whiny in books, and I usually give it a 4-star if I just can't stand her. I'm like, get a grip, be better than that, stop annoying me. So those are usually 4-star books. For an example of a 4-star book, I have here The Fall by Bethany Griffin. This is a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. I really enjoyed this book. I would recommend it to everybody, but I don't plan on rereading it anytime soon. It was a really good book. I liked how gothic it was, how creepy it was, but again, it was really long to me and kind of wordy, and so I don't plan on rereading it soon. On to the 3 stars. The 3-star books are something that I liked. That's what Goodreads says. You liked the book. And these books are really mediocre, average books. You enjoyed it while you read it, but it wasn't very memorable. You wouldn't really want to own it, for me personally. If it's a 3-star book and I already had purchased the book, I probably will be giving it away to somebody else in my trade away pile, because I really don't want to keep 3-star books unless it's part of a series, which then I feel kind of obligated to keep. And yeah, or if it's from the library, I'm really happy that I never bought it, because you don't want to keep 3-star books just to be pretty on the shelves. Also, 3-star books have very annoying characters, but for the most part the plot was well written to the point where I enjoyed reading it, but when I put it down, I didn't really feel like picking it back up. But then while I was reading, it sounded really good. An example of a 3-star book is The Muse Asylum by David Chayefsky. These characters aren't very memorable. I remembered the plot, so I was able to talk about it, but other than that, it was kind of meh. I definitely don't want to keep this book. I would never reread it. And so, yeah, I mean, I would recommend it for those that liked weird books, but not to the point where I was like screaming, this is the best ever. Alright, on to 2-star books. I don't give 2 stars very often. These books are like read at your own risk kind of books. I usually hate 2-star books to the point where I'm just like, oh my gosh, it was the worst. And on Goodreads, 2 stars means it was just okay. And yeah, like I said, I pretty much hated the book. But there was like good qualities to the book where I didn't give it a 1 star. Sometimes it has really pretty writing. Sometimes it had good quotes. Sometimes it's like the plot made so much sense, like it was going to be a good story, and it gripped me at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, but not enough to want to talk about it. And that example of that book is Asylum by Patrick McGrath. I hated this book. I'm sure it's a good book to somebody else, but because it's about adultery, I don't like it. And so the writing's fine, everything's fine, I just don't like the topic, and so I gave it 2 stars. Another one was The Cemetery Boys. I reviewed it a few weeks ago. I gave that a 2 star because it's about a whiny teenager who likes to get drunk the entire book, and it wasn't scary like it said it was supposed to be, so obviously I gave it 2 stars. But yeah, 2 stars, read at your own risk. I don't recommend, but if you read it, you may enjoy it. I just didn't personally like it. And now we're down to the 1-star reviews. This year I only gave 1 book 1 star, and I've read 82 books this year so far, and I've rated 1 star, and that is The Sham. Here's a picture. I read this on my Kindle. I got it for free for an honest review, part of like a book tour kind of thing, and I despised this book to the most part where I would burn, if it was a physical copy, I would burn it and be happy about it. Even though, you know, it's sacrilege to burn books, this book deserved to be burned. And it was just awful garbage, terrible, terrible. It's about mean girls, you know, beating up and almost killing a handicapped child, and them pranking an entire town and being suicidal. And it was just so bad. It was so bad that I would never recommend it to anyone, and I wish it was in the trash can. So that is how I rate my books, and that's all I wanted to share with you guys. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye!